The AFCON final didn't just end in controversy. It spiraled into pure chaos, with accusations flying, players walking off, and officials now reviewing video for punishment. There are claims of on-field interference that look more like a street fight than a trophy match. And now, even legal threats are on the table. This is football frenzy. The Africa Cup of Nations ended in a huge scandal, or rather a series of scandals, with organizational chaos and on-field incidents, including Senegal walking off the pitch. The transcript accuses Morocco's ball boys of outrageous behavior. In earlier matches, they allegedly took away goalkeepers' bottles with penalty notes, and in the final, they tried to deprive Senegal's goalkeeper of towels to wipe sweat. Viewers reportedly filmed moments where they repeatedly tried to take Edouard Mendy's towel. And at the end, backup keeper Yvan Diop stood behind the goal to protect Mendy. Then it gets even uglier. The ball boys allegedly attacked Diouf to take the towel, pulling it from his hands and even knocking him to the ground. The narrator suggests it looked like instructions from Morocco's staff. And it doesn't stop there. The transcript also claims Ismail Saibari interfered with Diouf while he was trying to pass the towel to Mendy. Achraf Hakimi picked up a towel near the post and threw it away toward the advertising boards. The narrator calls it complete madness and complains officials aren't focusing on that, while Senegal will be punished for walking off. FIFA President Gianni Infantino also criticized Senegal's actions, emphasizing respect for referees, and finally, it says the Moroccan Football Federation will sue FIFA and CAF. They believe Senegal leaving the pitch significantly changed the match, and it's implied Morocco want the final replayed. And if that wasn't enough chaos for one night, let's jump to a massive club trying to stop its own season from breaking apart. Marca explained how Real Madrid ended up in crisis. It started with an ill-considered decision around Carlo Ancelotti's departure. His move to the Brazil national team was announced before the club even officially confirmed he was leaving. A reflection of administrative chaos at the giant club. Ancelotti left after losing control of the dressing room, which was an obvious sign of trouble ahead. He's one of the best coaches at managing a squad atmosphere, but even he struggled with this group. Another big mistake was not renewing Luka Modric's contract. Even though the player wanted to stay, the board wanted young talents, and in doing so they gave up Modric's experience and leadership, plus an important lever of authority in case certain stars started acting bigger than the club. Real also messed up in the transfer market. They refused to sign a deep-lying midfielder. The report says Xabi Alonso insisted on a central midfielder who would organize the game and provide balance. Alonso wanted Martin Zubimendi, but didn't get anyone. Tension between Alonso and the board started early too. The coach wanted to take over only after the Club World Cup, but they forced him into the tournament, undermining trust. Later, Vinicius began to destabilize the project, and his incident in El Clasico exposed the core problem. The board sided with the Brazilian in the conflict, which ultimately led to the coach's resignation. After that moment, when the coach wasn't allowed to punish the star properly, players started ignoring instructions. The outlet also says Florentino Perez's external wars with UEFA, Tebas, referees distracted the team and worsened the dressing room atmosphere. Now Perez is trying to pull the club out of the crisis. As AS writes, he already has a new plan. Perez doesn't really believe in winning La Liga. Understandable. Over a long season, this Real likely can't keep up with Barcelona. But he believes even a messy season can be saved by the Champions League. To win the UCL, you don't have to be the best team all year. You just need to reach the late stages, hit good form, and ride some luck. So the UCL is Real's priority. In the summer, AS says Perez wants an active transfer window, one or even two high-profile center backs, plus a young metronome in midfield. A strong available option mentioned here is Angelo Stiller of Stuttgart. Alonso suggested him last year, but Perez refused. Maybe it's time to reconsider. What happens next? If Madrid really go all in on Europe, the league becomes a secondary fight, and every transfer decision starts to look like a Champions League decision. From one club in crisis to another club already planning the next era. Barcelona planning for Flick's retirement. Barcelona can hardly be unhappy with Flick's work. Mistakes happen, but he still shows top-class coaching. Another plus, with him the team plays attractive, entertaining football, and in that sense, Barcelona are simply better. Flick's style helps Barca win new fans, which will pay off in the future. However, the claim is that Flick won't stay long, not because of conflict with the board. Everything seems okay, but because he wants to end his coaching career in the near future. His contract runs until 2027. Maybe that's when he retires. Diario Sport says Barcelona want Flick to stay as long as possible, but they accept his intention to quit football. So they're already looking for a successor. Two top candidates are mentioned: Mikel Arteta of Arsenal, Luis Enrique of PSG. Both have Barcelona DNA. Luis Enrique won a treble with Barca. Arteta was in the club system around 1999 to 2000. Luis Enrique is currently negotiating a contract extension with PSG. But those talks are reportedly going badly, according to French press. So he might become available soon, in time to take over Barca again. The narrator presents Luis Enrique as the clear favorite. He embodies Barca's core ideas but keeps evolving them. He's also credited here with PSG winning the Champions League. He didn't win trophies with Spain, but he took them over in a difficult moment and guided them through a rebuild. When Enrique says Spain became champion level, partly thanks to his work, the narrator says it's believable. Arteta also seems suitable, but he doesn't have the same winner's resume. He hasn't won major trophies as a first-team head coach. And at Arsenal, he benefits from patient, consistent leadership. At Barcelona, coaches can be begged to stay 1 month and fired the next. Would Arteta cope without having every squad hole fixed immediately? Nobody knows. He's not been tested in that environment. So Luis Enrique is viewed as the obvious favorite. And while Barca plan for the future, one of their biggest names is chasing minutes right now. Ter Stegen to Girona. Barca target Ramiro Marc-Andre Ter Stegen is described as a Barcelona legend and one of the best goalkeepers in club history. No weak points in his prime, elite footwork, and unbeatable on the line. In the summer, Barca couldn't resist signing Joan Garcia, who had an outstanding season and was available for a relatively modest fee. They don't regret it. Garcia is producing real miracles now, so Ter Stegen, returning from a back injury, may struggle to get into the starting 11. With the World Cup coming up, Ter Stegen wants playing time. For the first time, he could go as Germany's number 1 rather than as Manuel Neuer's backup, but he needs minutes. So he decided to move to Girona. Fabrizio Romano reportedly confirmed the transfer yesterday. Ter Stegen won't even need to move house. Both clubs are in the Barcelona area. He'll play half a season for Girona, and then go to the World Cup if he stays healthy. After that, he and Barca will decide what's next. The narrator doubts Ter Stegen has much future at Barca now. Garcia has adapted and is carrying the team. In that situation, it's strange to bet on an older, expensive keeper. So either Ter Stegen leaves after the loan or accepts being number 2, and probably the first, because Barca don't want such a highly paid backup. Financial detail in the text: Girona will cover less than €1 million of Ter Stegen's salary. Barca will pay 90% of his wages. Barca are also thinking about another goalkeeper. Ferran Martinez reports they're targeting Alex Ramiro from Real Sociedad. In the summer, he'll have 1 year left on his contract, and his price could drop below €10 million. Barca have watched him for a long time. Sporting director Deco has repeatedly checked his situation and availability. It's clear Joan Garcia would remain Barca's number 1. Ramiro's camp understands that, and it wouldn't be a problem. He's willing to accept that role. At first, the rumor sounds weird, given Barca's keeper overload, but it makes more sense if Ter Stegen leaves and they also say goodbye to another goalkeeper. Iñaki Peña will return from loan. He's at Elche and having a strong season, but Peña likely won't want to sit behind Garcia, and he has a difficult relationship with Flick. So, Barca would rather sell Peña, possibly for more than Ramiro would cost, and end up with a clear, suitable duo, Garcia plus Ramiro, while also cutting the wage bill. Napoli's striker reshuffle and a sterling surprise. Before their win over Sassuolo, Napoli drew 3 matches in a row, weakening their position in Serie A. They're now third, 6 points behind Inter. Not critical, but unpleasant, especially given that the Azzurri are improving. Milan also keep refusing to lose, even when it feels like they should. Napoli somehow won the title last season. Even though Inter were better, Antonio Conte understood it. So, in the summer, he demanded serious investment from President Aurelio De Laurentiis. Despite some tension, they reached an agreement, and Napoli spent. But not everyone has worked out. One player publicly criticized the coach, and now Galatasaray are interested. Napoli want to sell. Napoli are also suffering injuries to key players, especially in midfield. There are problems in attack too. Romelu Lukaku still hasn't returned to the squad. Lorenzo Luca, signed as a replacement, hasn't delivered. Just 1 goal in 16 Serie A matches. But Napoli got lucky. Someone wants to take him. According to Fabrizio Romano, Nottingham Forest have agreed a loan deal for Luca for €1 million, with an option to buy for €35 million. Sean Dyche knows how to use target man strikers. The 2-meter forward will get clear instructions. Napoli, meanwhile, plan to buy a new striker. Surprisingly, they're interested in Raheem Sterling, who has played exactly 0 minutes this season for Chelsea. Gianluca Di Marzio reports Napoli want to loan the Englishman. Negotiating with Chelsea wouldn't be difficult. They want to offload Sterling anywhere. He earns £300,000 a week, the highest in the team, and he doesn't even train with the main group. In his free time, he focuses on family and youth football. He even coaches at his own academy for free. Sterling doesn't want to leave London. If he goes on loan, it's only to a London club. A move to another city, especially outside England, is possible only as a permanent transfer. Napoli likely won't take that risk, even if Chelsea let him go almost for free. Still, Conte will try to convince him, and the Italian is a master persuader. And speaking of big jobs and big pressure, Liverpool's situation is getting louder by the week. Liverpool, Slot versus Xabi Alonso rumors. Insiders disagree on Arne Slot's position at Liverpool. James Pearce of The Athletic says the owners, FSG, are not planning to sack the Dutch coach, and the Reds don't want to copy Chelsea or Manchester United. There's no conflict with Slot. One outlet claims Liverpool have already agreed with Xabi Alonso. If Liverpool don't show significant progress in the next 2 matches, Slot will be dismissed, and Alonso will take over immediately. The narrator says Liverpool would back Alonso fully. Even if Mohamed Salah acts up, the club would side with the coach. Fans would be happy too. Many impatient supporters have already started booing Slot, and lots of people are waiting for Alonso. A couple of years ago, he was the dream appointment for many Liverpool fans. Now, let's go from pressure to straight-up panic. Tottenham. Thomas Frank close to being sacked. Pochettino talk. Thomas Frank is on the brink of being sacked by Tottenham, although the Danish coach insists he feels full support. I've felt trust throughout all this time. I've said it in every press conference. Today, I had lunch with the leadership and everything was fine. I know this is all part of the media circus, and the only thing I can do is focus on the match against Dortmund. Frank has a tough game ahead. There are so many unavailable players that there may be more missing than fit. A long list is given, many out or doubtful, and the narrator doubts Spurs will play good football versus Dortmund. He also doubts Frank will stay. Telegraph journalist Matt Law is cited saying Frank will most likely be fired. Then Spurs will appoint an interim coach until the end of the season and hire a permanent manager in the summer. Inside the club, people are talking about Mauricio Pochettino, who would be happy to return. The narrator argues that Pochettino, still relatively young and developing as a coach, should return to club football and leave national team coaching to veterans. Things with the US national team aren't going perfectly for him either. And who saves Spurs if not a club legend? It would also be easier for Pochettino to convince Harry Kane to return, something Spurs bosses dream about. From Spurs drama to United drama. Different flavor, same headache. Manchester United, January meeting, and Kovac links. Manchester United will hold an internal meeting early this week to discuss possible January signings. According to Fabrizio Romano, they'll invite Michael Carrick to explain where the current squad's weak points are. Ruben Amorim insisted on a new midfielder. In the summer, they were interested in Carlos Baleba from Brighton, but the Seagulls demanded such a fee that United signed no one. Now the source says United are absolutely confident they will sign Baleba. It's unclear when, but they believe it will happen. The player reportedly sent positive signals in the summer. Meanwhile, at United, they're still discussing who will lead the club after Carrick leaves. And the news here is grim for fans. Patrick Berger, described as reliable, says United want to invite Niko Kovac from Borussia Dortmund. The narrator mocks this as another genius idea. Kovac prefers a 3-4-2-1 system, the same one Amorim fought for and was fired over. Plus, Kovac failed badly when he got the Bayern job. Dortmund under him are unstable. Sometimes good football, sometimes holes in defense, and no ideas in attack. Dortmund are second in the Bundesliga, but the narrator claims there's no title race. Sir Jim Ratcliffe was expected to restore order, but so far the people he put in charge are doing nonsense, according to the speaker. And while those clubs argue about plans, City just went and spent the money. Manchester City officially sign Marc Guéhi. Manchester City have signed Marc Guéhi from Crystal Palace. Yesterday, City announced the transfer of the centre-back for £20 million, not including bonuses. The Englishman will earn around £300,000 per week, and that's the base salary before bonuses. At Crystal Palace, he earned less in a month than he'll now make in a week. Now it's harder to criticize Liverpool's board for missing out on a player like this. In the summer, Guehi had an agreement with Liverpool. Merseyside also looked like the perfect place for development, even if the Reds would have paid less. In any case, pretty much every top English club chased Guehi, including Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Tottenham. You don't often get a chance to sign a proven English centre-back with almost no obvious weaknesses. Guehi is comfortable with both feet and uses that actively. He doesn't panic under pressure and is excellent at progressing the ball. As a bonus, he can also play at right back. He's got a powerful, accurate shot too. Not the most important for a defender, but at Palace he sometimes fired in from outside the box and won games with a rocket into the top corner. A technical, passing, mobile, smart, disciplined center-back. The only drawback, he's not very tall for the position. But as Lisandro Martinez shows, with good positioning, height doesn't stop you from winning aerial duels. Guehi is already Premier League proven. He has no issues in duels on the ground or in the air. City bought him to urgently fix their central defense. Gvardiol and Ruben Dias have been affected by injuries, and in recent matches, Guardiola has had to use a pairing of fringe player Abdulkadir Husanov and academy graduate Max Elaine. You understand, Pep didn't do that because life was good. Guardiola doesn't often throw new signings into heavy minutes immediately, but Guehi will likely go straight into the starting 11. Pep almost has no choice. Guehi will have to adapt quickly. Luckily, he's coming from Palace, not from abroad. He's a smart guy. He should manage. That's it for this one. If you want another episode in the same format, leave a like and tell me which story you want a deeper follow-up on, and I'll see you next time.